Hello you beautiful people out there. So welcome to our channel Porky Amigos. So today I'll be talking about a very important topic that everybody wants to know. What are the examinations, what are the tests that you need to appear before you can apply here for the PhD positions or the graduate study positions in United States. So today we'll be talking about in some details about those tests. So without wasting any time, what I say, let's dig in. So yes, as I was saying, so today we'll begin with the various tests that we need to take for a PhD student to get admitted into any US universities. So we'll be starting with three major tests that you need to take. First is your GRE, that is your graduate record examinations. The second is English proficiency test, and you have two options over here. One is your IELTS, that is IELTS, and there is your TOEFL, that is TOEFL. So basically why I say you have two options over here, because IELTS is something which is accepted for the most of the universities in US, and as well as it is accepted for all over the Europe. So if you're taking IELTS, then you have an option to apply to both the US universities and the Europe universities, but TOEFL majorly it works for US universities. So they will basically be testing you, because as you belong to a country which is not having native English speaker, that your language is not natively English, so you need to give an English proficiency test for that. Yeah. And GRE is something that is going to test your abilities. So I'll go quickly into one by one. So the first thing that you need to be taken care, the first thing that you need to take care of is knowing the format of the test. So whatever test we're giving, whether it is IELTS or TOEFL or a GRE, you need to know the format of it. Basically, GRE is consisting of three basic formats. The first thing is it is about your quantitative reasoning, that is your maths, that is taking care of the maths. But remember, that is not the normal math that you have studied so far. It is a math which is based on a reasoning kind of thing. So you're basically going to solve the maths problem in a reasoning way. The second is your verbal reasoning, that is based on the reading skills, how well you can read a particular topic and how you can analyze the thing from out of that topic. It's about that. Then the third thing is your analytical writing. It is examining how well you can write, because when you're coming for PhD or graduate studies in America, you need to write publications, papers, various journals, various articles, various review papers, a lot of them. So you need to be very proficient in writings. So it is basically covering all three of them. And when I come to IELTS or TOEFL, it basically has four sections. One is your reading section, one is your listening section, one is your writing, another is your speaking. So and both of these tests are a bit different in this section, in the way I can say that in IELTS it has a pen and paper mode. So if you're into writing for the test mode, then you can go for IELTS, apart from the country preferences. So, and also in IELTS you have a speaker who will be in front of you, English speaker who will take your speaking examination test in front of you, sitting just, if you're comfortable with speaking someone front to front, then you definitely have to go for IELTS. But if you're comfortable in speaking with a computer language, like with a computer person, then you can go for TOEFL. So TOEFL is basically a whole test in computer based. Okay, and both of them are like 3 hours, 3.5 hours to 4 hours, they vary. And for GRE it is a 3 hour and 45 minutes long test. Okay, now coming to the second thing is you need to have a minimum score. Yes, before you begin the test, if you have some universities in your mind shortlisted, you can definitely watch my video on how to select universities in US according to your choices and what are the criteria you should be looking on. Definitely So you should have a minimum score in your mind, like how much GRE score you need, how much IELTS you need, or how much TOEFL you need. Basically for TOEFL, I think for TOEFL you need 100 or between 100 to 110 score for getting a good TA, RA or GA positions of assistantships. And for IELTS you need something definitely above 7 to grab a scholarship in graduate studies. Yes. And GRE, it varies. Some people, they get admitted to good universities in scores with like between 300 to 310. Some need scores above 310. Some are very ambitious universities which require scores like above 330 or 325 and ahead of that. So but I don't think that the university, they decide purely on your GRE, but yeah, the admission decision, GRE has a very major role to play in that part. Okay, now third thing that you need to do is create a study guide for each of the examinations. So you need to prepare, like if you are going to give those two exams back to back, the English proficiency exam and the GRE back to back, then you need to have some study guide for you, like whatever awards you are dedicating for which sections. And I would say, and here it goes, the fourth point alongside of this point is that work on your low areas. What I say about low areas is the area you know better yourself than anyone else. So you know like which areas you need to work much harder, like so work on that areas majorly. Get the writings checked by teachers. When you are writing the writing sections for both GRE and your English proficiency test, do write something based on the topics and show them to your English teachers so that they can review it well, that where you are going wrong, what are your high points, what are your low points, so that you know when you know your mistakes, I think you learn much faster from them. Read newspapers, articles, because the one suggestion that I would like to give is try building a reading habit of yours, because if you're good into reading, then it's a good point for you. But if you're not, then try at least, I can't say that you can't be loving to read novels in one day or suddenly in overnight, but you can start reading the newspapers, start reading English newspapers, start reading the English articles. So go for good papers, like in India you can go for the Telegraph, you can go for the Deccan Chronicles, you can go for Times of India is a fair enough thing. You can go, and while you are reading newspaper, try to learn new word. Work on your vocabulary is the most essential thing when you're working for those two examinations, because they are going to try and test your vocabulary skills, because the much more you know the vocabulary, the easier the test it becomes for you a lot. Yes. Record and practice. So when you are speaking, speak in front of camera, speak in front of a recorder, practice, see how well you are speaking. But in IELTS, when you are speaking, just be careful about your body language. You are not over exaggerating anything, or you are just be optimal, be normal, be true, and be confident. The thing that matters most in any of the examinations in life is to be confident. When you are confident, you know that you're definitely going to win over it. So the mantra I will say is to be confident and believe in yourself. There are different mock tests available in different websites, so go and practice the website. Do buy the official guide for ETS, for TOEFL or GRE, and for IELTS also they have the official guides. Buy them. Also practice from some books which I will mention it now, like Manhattan 5LB is a good book. Magus are very good sources of that. And you are practicing vocabulary over like 300, 400 or maybe 1000 words, then you are sorted, you are good to go. So you are on a good ground for the test, I believe that. Okay, now these are all my tips that I gave you for the examinations, how you are going to practice and what are the area that you need to stress for these exams. Now I'll go to some details on how the test work. So basically IELTS, as I said, it has 4 sections, but for GRE it is divided into 3 sections. One is the quantitative reasoning, that basically is the math section. Another is your verbal reasoning, that is basically the reading sections, and the analytical writing, that is basically your writing sections. When you're preparing for the examination, just keep in mind that you need to score at least above 160 in verbal, 165 in quantitative or the maths, and at least a 4 in a analytical writing section. So that will give you a good ground for whichever university you are applying. At least you will have a fair chance to get into most of the universities. Okay, so when you're appearing for the exam, you will get 5 sections. 1 will be on your analytical writing, 2 will be on your quantitative reasoning, that's for maths, and 2 sections will be from the verbal reasoning, and 1 section will come at the end, which is the unscored section, for which you are not going to be scored, but yes, you have to appear that. Without that, your GRE is not over. That can be either quantitative or verbal. That depends from center to center, from day to day. I don't know how it works, but yeah, it's uncertain. So, and one thing that you need to be very careful about is, because for GRE they are basically testing your critical thinking ability, your reasoning ability, your analytical thought process, how you behave well, how you act quickly in a situation, progressively in a situation. That basically is determining all those factors. So you need to be very careful about what you are, how much input you are putting all together in all of these sections. So, and I think one thing they also they are very much interested in this is your time management, how well you manage time, because the question they are really very tough. You need to act smartly, you need to act very quickly, and so they're also, yeah, I think creative thinking is something that you don't take days or years to think. It comes like on a spark. So yeah, and there are 2 kinds of GRE examination. One is a general and one is a subject examination. That depends on what your university is asking for your particular course that you're applying into. So you need to check on that, whether you need to give the the subject test along with the GRE general test or not. Otherwise, the examinations of GRE, they are valid up to 5 years. So remember, whenever you are giving examination, the scores are valid up to 5 years, and within that 5 years you can give the exams multiple times. Okay, now coming to my very last tip or advice that I want to say is difficulty levels are there. If you heard of anything like that, it does happen. Yeah, it's true. So when you're appearing for the first verbal section, remember how well you are going to do on the first section. That will determine the level of the second section that is going to follow that. Because if you have done good in the first section, then the second section is going to be much harder, because they are going to push you further to see how much, like to what extent you can go more. And if you have done bad in the first section, the second section will automatically be an easier one. So 2 things I want to say you on here. First is, when you see a section being easier, automatically it comes in your mind then your first section was screwed up. Please don't be scared, don't panic, because that is the point where you lose your scores. The moment you lose your confidence, the moment you panic, the moment everything is lost. So don't be calm, be composed. Okay, my first section was not good, I am going to concentrate on this section. So yeah, just compose yourself. And the second thing that I want to say is, while you are on the test, just try to be not distracted by anything. Just concentrate on your test. Do not think of the scores. The more you think about the scores, the more you get panic. And if a question that you are not able to answer, skip that, go to the next one. You have time in the end, then you can come back to it again, but don't waste much of your time there. And the most important thing that I want to say is, practice, practice and practice. The only mantra is you have to practice a lot. Yes. So from now on, I have decided after each of my video, I'll give you one important GRE high frequency word, so that you can just practice your vocabulary along with me. And if you guys love it, then I can do a separate series on vocabulary too. Do let me know in the comment sections. So for the word for today is diligent. Remember, the word is diligent. It means hardworking, consistently doing good, consistently being good and well at the work that you are doing. And if I form a sentence in that is, my sister My sister was admitted in a very good, well-known university because she was very diligent at whatever she does. Yeah, or you can say that there was an opening in the industry for who were looking for good, well-trained and diligent workers. I gave you 2 sentences. Let me know if you can form more sentences from this word diligent, and I will see you in my next video. So any comments, any suggestions, any questions, any queries, all are welcome. So I'm getting a lot of queries. I'll be doing soon a live question answer session. I'll update you when I'm going to do that in all my social media platforms. Stay tuned, keep watching, subscribe to my channel to get new videos every week. And what I said, remember, be park here and be your amigos for life. Till then, God bless you. Love you. Tada.